We are Anchor. Stay tuned for updated real news.
Hello, Anchor Daily News viewers. Today we bring you not just a story from the front lines, but the story of a new phase of war, one that unfolds in Ukraine's darkest skies, skies at the heart of its energy networks, and exposes the breaking point of a nation left in the cold. This is not merely about a handful of bombs or isolated explosions. It is the name of a heavy and calculated strike aimed directly at a country's most vulnerable lifelines. As the war approaches its fourth year, a deep gap has emerged between Moscow's rhetoric of military superiority and the reality on the ground. For a long time, the Kremlin used airstrikes as a tool of intimidation. Today, however, we are no longer talking about threats, but about an operation designed to physically sever Ukraine's vital arteries. The attacks launched by Russian forces in the early hours of the morning was of a scale rarely seen in modern warfare. Moscow's military combined hundreds of drones with dozens of missiles targeting more than 13 regions across Ukraine. Not only military facilities were struck, energy infrastructure, residential areas and critical logistics hubs were also hit. This assault demonstrates that even in the fourth year of the war, Moscow retains the capacity to carry out harsher and more comprehensive strikes. Before we move on to our analysis, a quick reminder. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss our daily reports and in-depth analyses. I personally read your comments, so keep sharing your thoughts with us. And feel free to tell us in the comments what topics you'd like to see covered on Anchor Daily News. The assault continued throughout the night. Thousands of drones filled the skies while explosions lit up Ukraine's dark horizon. The scale of the operation was so overwhelming that even Ukraine's air defense systems were unable to fully intercept the barrage. Ukraine's president described it as one of the largest aerial attacks to take flight, emphasizing that the strikes were deliberately planned to target energy infrastructure. One of the most painful aspects of this attack was its direct impact on civilians. According to Ukraine's Ministry of Health, at least 3 civilians lost their lives, including a 4-year-old child. In the western and northwestern regions of the country, apartment buildings and residential neighborhoods were hit. The number of injured climbed into the dozens, and many families were forced to flee their homes. This blow was not only physical, it was also a direct strike at Ukraine's energy system. Power plants, electricity distribution networks, and heating systems were knocked offline, leaving hundreds of thousands of people without electricity in the middle of winter. This triggered not just a military setback, but a broader economic and humanitarian crisis. The timing of the attack is also telling. Many diplomats and international observers view this bombardment carried out while peace initiatives involving the United States and Europe are ongoing as deliberately provocative. Once again, it has reinforced the perception that Russian President Vladimir Putin is not approaching peace talks with sincerity. Ukrainian officials see this not only as a large-scale attack, but as a political move aimed at sabotaging hopes for peace. Regional authorities in Ukraine report that some areas are now almost completely without power, leaving residents stranded in freezing conditions. Energy companies have begun restoration efforts, but with temperatures dropping below zero, officials warn that full repairs could take a week or even longer. This is no longer just another stage of the war. It marks a dangerous new era in which the basic basic necessities of daily life are becoming deliberately targeted. The military situation on the ground is also growing increasingly complex. Ukraine's armed forces are not only defending their territory, but responding to Russian attacks with advanced defensive technologies and modern techniques. Western-supported air defense systems have successfully intercepted hundreds of drones and missiles. Still, attacks of this magnitude represent a serious test for Ukraine. At the same time, they demonstrate that Kyiv's path to survival and ultimately victory is being shaped not only by battlefield tactics, but by strategic diplomacy and technological resilience. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky stated after the attack that this was more than a bombardment. It was clear evidence that Russia intends to prolong the war. This attack shows that the enemy is targeting not only our land, Zelensky said, but also the hopes and living conditions of the Ukrainian people. Another critical point is that these strikes are part of an ongoing chain of air assaults. In previous massive bombardments, Russia used similar tactics to cripple energy systems and civilian infrastructure in an attempt to disrupt daily life across Ukraine. What we are witnessing today is a new version of that strategy, far broader in scale and far more destructive. This attack is not merely a sign of a battle won or lost. It is a signal of a transition into a new phase of war. Once bombs exploded only on the front lines. Now, war has penetrated deep into cities, homes, and the most basic elements of everyday life. At Anchor Daily News, we ask, does this attack show that Russia is now determined to wage war not only on military fronts, but at the very heart of civilian life? Or is it a sign that Moscow's long-standing strategy is beginning to collapse? Share your thoughts with us, because sometimes the direction of a war is shaped less by bullets on the battlefield than by the moment the lights go out in people's homes.
We are Anchor. Stay tuned for updated real news.